Hi everyone, it's Mohammed here from SilverCloud. We're just going to wait for a few more people before we kick off. I think we've got Gary on as well. Okay, so I think we've got pretty much max capacity in terms of registered. So I've just unmuted yourself, Gary. So you'll be able to talk through as well. So hi, so my name's Mohammed. I work at SilverCloud. I'm the head of customer success here. I'm a mental health nurse by background and a family therapist. So I'll be running your webinar today. The webinar is scheduled to run for the next 60 minutes. Everybody is on mute, but you do have let me just put it up here for you, a Q&A panel. So if you've got any questions as we go along, please do just pop them in the Q&A panel, preferably the Q&A panel rather than the chat panel, and I can pick up questions as we go along. So the agenda for today is Gary's just going to do a quick kind of 5-minute introduction. You can have more time if you need as well, Gary. Just an introduction to kind of the session today and the purpose behind it. And then from there on, for the bulk of it, I will kind of go through and just introduce you to SilverCloud, because I'm presuming or working on the basis that many of you may not have heard of SilverCloud or don't know too much about it. So I'll give you a quick intro to all things SilverCloud and then do a kind of live demo of the Sleep Resilience, Stress and the COVID-19 program. And then from there on, we will be doing just kind of Q&As right towards the end. So I'll hand over to Gary.
I can see you've used a picture of me there, Mohammed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you just check you can hear me then? Great.
Yes, I can. I think everyone should be able to hear you now.
Thanks very much. Okay, yeah. So those who don't know me, I'm Gary Flanagan. I'm commissioning lead for mental health and learning disabilities at the CCG. Just give a quick 1-minute kind of context setting really before handing over to Mohammed. There's just been a lot happening in mental health to try and provide more enhanced support to people at a time when we know they're going to be struggling with a range of complex feelings related to isolation, stress, anxiety, among others. We wanted to take the opportunity during Mental Health Awareness Week to remind people really that there are people to talk to and resources available. We've done a lot of work to make sure people know that under COVID, mental health services in Oldham are open for business as usual. You can still see a GP, self-refer, speak to somebody at Mind or Healthy Minds as an example. We started working with SilverCloud a couple of years ago now, I think, when we realised that we needed to, we were looking to expand our psychological therapy options in support kind of a broader increased level of need, but also to try and diversify the support options that we were providing to people in Oldham. So as well as kind of talking therapies, we knew SilverCloud offered a really good evidence-based kind of digital therapy platform for people who might appreciate that approach. We knew that SilverCloud were already working with various NHS trusts and providers across the country, NICE approved, and as I've said, kind of a strong evidence base around supporting people to recovery around some of their self-help programs around depression, anxiety, among several others. And over the last couple of years, it's been a really key element of our mental health commission services in Oldham. Original agreement with SilverCloud was for it to be a treatment option as part of our wider psychological therapy support offer. Under COVID, we've worked with SilverCloud actually across Greater Manchester to open this up to universal access, so more people can access the programs without it being referred into any kind of mental health services really, although that is obviously still an option for people. We thought that under Mental Health Awareness Week, we would recognise that our health and social care teams are a really important group when it comes to getting the right support You may have seen that we've shared some of the SilverCloud details previously in terms of the link and some information. We thought it would be useful to organise a live demonstration, and SilverCloud kindly agreed, Mohammed and the team. Just thinking a demonstration might just give you a bit more of an idea of what they offer and how it might be something you'd like to explore. It definitely helped me when we were originally setting up the service, and just might give you a bit of an outline of how it might be able to help. And I think, yeah, I think that's it for me. If that's okay, I think I'll hand back over to Mohammed and take it from there.
Fab. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for that introduction. So I'll just put you back on mute, Gary. No offense. There you go. Right, so I'm going to run you through kind of hopefully all things SilverCloud for you. So give you an introduction to kind of SilverCloud as a kind of organization, and Gary's giving you some backdrop behind kind of SilverCloud and the working relationship we have with Oldham and the work we've done there, but also go into kind of a bit more detail around the actual kind of proposition that we have available to you. So kind of a very busy slide, but what you see here is SilverCloud is a kind of, I'd say, one of the leading digital platforms that you have, certainly in the UK and kind of worldwide. We have over 30 different mental health programs and therapy programs on our platform, with over 250 organizations. In the UK, obviously the NHS and the IAP sector is a big user, around about 80% of the IAP sector is using SilverCloud. But where our journey started off as at Trinity College Dublin, over in Ireland. It was SilverCloud back then was a research project looking at kind of outcomes and engagement with people in online therapies, and it's maintained its kind of strong academic and research focus. So still have 1/4 of the company who are kind of research and clinically focused. The platform in the main was always delivered to be kind of supported. What we're doing at the moment is opening it up to kind of unsupported use. But on the supported side, there's been about over 5.5 million plus interactions. So the evidence base is there, 65% plus recovery, clinical change, users maintaining their gain. So that was actually an NHS RCT we did with Berkshire IAPT, which demonstrated clearly people who had access to SilverCloud post-treatment continually maintain their gains. And we've had over 400,000 users and counting, with kind of 10,000 users plus a month, new users, with over 65 million lives covered. SilverCloud's used obviously in the United Kingdom, throughout Europe, and also through the United States. So there's the NHS, there's university sector, there's also other private providers that use SilverCloud as well. So just gives you an idea a bit of in terms of kind of the background and kind of coverage in our history. So the platform has always been designed to kind of help users along that journey at various different levels of need. So actually the access starts here kind of on the left hand side, to access in a very seamless way from any smart device. So SilverCloud is totally cross-platform compatible, which essentially means you can use it on a tablet, a mobile phone, kind of browser, on your PC or laptop, Android or iPhone, various different levels of need as well. So that could be kind of needed unsupported access. So that's one of the things that we've rolled out across Greater Manchester and through Oldham as well. There's also light touch support or kind of low intensity support as well, which you'd normally get through probably the IAP services. And then obviously the options there are 30 plus different programs, and as it's an evidence-based platform, we will always track outcomes of users. That's very relevant to kind of supported use. So kind of the 30 plus programs that you have are programs around kind of well-being, sleep, resilience, money, worry, stress. The mental health suite, which is kind of targeting depression, anxiety disorders, very much what's used in IAPT alongside the long-term health programs such as CHD, diabetes, chronic pain, with substance misuse programs kind of in the making as well. So the platform is almost like a digital library. I often call it a digital library. Now, the solution, again, like I said, kind of on the other slide, kind of goes throughout the life, can be used throughout the life course of someone. So it goes right across that spectrum. So there's always something there for someone potentially. So it's not about kind of one person needing one thing. It may be that one person needing multiple accesses to different parts of SilverCloud. So like I said, the statutory services would use a lot of the mental health and depression programs here, kind of in anxiety and depression. Those with poor mental health, much more in the secondary sector, may be using things like our bipolar toolkit, the alcohol and substance misuse programs as well. And then on the other well-being spectrum, you've got things like kind of stress, sleep, money worries, and then the positive health, mental health. You've got the body image and resilience as self-help programs. So you can see right across the spectrum, there is something in that kind of user journey for someone. Now, Gary mentioned kind of the relationship that, obviously Oldham has with SilverCloud. So initially the journey started as a supported model. So a lot of the programs, all of them actually, are available through kind of Oldham's services, IAP services, the local IAP services. So all those 30 programs can be accessed through there. And if someone will need a referral or make a self-referral, be kind of assessed and can opt for any one of those SilverCloud programs. What we've done in particular here through Oldham and Greater Manchester is utilize the self-help model. So this is about making the programs, or a selection of programs, quickly and easily accessible, particularly in this difficult time where we find ourselves with kind of COVID-19. So a bit more kind of on evidence based. We've got obviously depression and anxiety is assessed with pretty much all of the programs in our studies. This was the study that were looked at that was actually an IAPT with Berkshire's IAPT service just going into publication, but this is kind of the highlights of it, that we can see that post kind of treatment after 8 weeks, people who have access to SilverCloud, their measures in terms of depression and anxiety continually drop. So again, Gary did mention, kind of NICE approved. So SilverCloud were awarded kind of tier 3B status for kind of their evidence based on SilverCloud's platform. We obviously value kind of the work that we do with all our clients and customers. So therefore things like our certifications around ISO and ISO 13485, Cyber Essential Scheme, the NHS toolkit, digital toolkit as well. All kind of give people a lot of reassurance that they're using something that's safe, effective, and tried and tested. And obviously we're available through the NHS apps library and have recognition there, as well as with kind of the Yorker library as well. Like I said, SilverCloud is kind of cross-platform compatible, so you can use it on any device, but obviously we're in this world of smart devices, so we have apps, not just for, to be honest, iOS for Apple, but also we have an app in the App Store for Google Play. There are certain trackers and tools within SilverCloud, such as the mood monitor and other health tracking measures, which integrate with the Apple Watch. And we're also kind of looking at some machine learning projects with Microsoft, which is trying to understand kind of the anonymized data. So what is it that what are the steps a client goes through? What parts of the programs are significant and yield themselves to be significant in terms of recovery and good engagement? So we're starting to move in that direction now here at SilverCloud. So how does someone access this? And I think this might come into some of the questions. So I've just got a couple of questions that have come up here, so I'll take them now. So do you sign up with your NHS email account? You can, but you don't have to. So if you went to this site, gm.silvercloudhealth.com/sign up, which I'm going to demo shortly, you can use your work email, or you can use a private email. Everything is 100% confidential. Nobody's actually looking in or has access to actually view any information about users on this. It's totally unsupported. Another question, what age group is this suitable for? So in a more controlled environment, the bottom line is it's kind of 16 and above SilverCloud is suitable for. Certainly as unsupported, it's 16 and above as a client. Nobody's having an assessment, if you like. In supported services, so for example, the IAP service, they have their age criteria as well. We do have some CAM services that do use SilverCloud in some areas. They are using some of our CAMS programs, but they again use them down to, from what I've heard from services, is down to the age of 13, and that's down to clinical discretion. The programs have always been designed and built for 16 and above, but if a 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old does have kind of capacity and good comprehension to engage with the material and it's safe and effective, it's very much a clinical decision. But in terms of this offering here across Greater Manchester and for Oldham, it is for kind of the 16 and above population. So how does this start? So how does that journey for SilverCloud start? So you've got the website gm.silvercloudhealth.com/sign up. So I'm going to demo this shortly. This is just to walk you through kind of that process. So when you land on that page, you will select a region where you're from in Greater Manchester. There'll be a call to action on the screen, which will kick off a wellbeing questionnaire. You'll complete the wellbeing questionnaire and you'll be given a score and feedback and a list of possible programs that you could try from the available. And then the user signs up, and the programs that you've got available here are stress, sleep, mindfulness, COVID-19 available for you, and there is actually the resilience program, so my apologies for that not being on there. Just another quick question as well, can family members access it? Absolutely. So this site is available for all residents of Oldham. So it's not restricted to staff, so friends, family, the general public can actually use this. So you've got some mental health services across Greater Manchester and in Oldham can actually signpost. So if they're assessing people and they feel that actually they don't warrant their level of service, or whether that's IAPT or a primary care service, they can signpost people here for some extra help and support outside of that service being able to offer it. So it's available for family members, staff, and the general population right through Oldham. So let's do a live demo. So I'm just going to grab that URL there, close that down, open it up again. So on that page, you've got that wellbeing questionnaire. So the wellbeing questionnaire, if you're familiar with it, is the short Warwick and Edinburgh scale. So 7 questions. Have I been feeling optimistic about the future? Have I've been feeling useful. I've been feeling relaxed. I've been dealing with my problems well. I've been able to think clearly. Been feeling close to other people and able to make my own minds up about things. That then returns the user a kind of well-being score, just some feedback on screen that you kind of, in this case, you're experiencing kind of average well-being at the moment. It's a good reassuring score. Based on the answers, actually, there's some programs that might be suitable for you. So some of the suitable programs for some more kind of average well-being might be the stress, mindfulness, resilience, or COVID-19 program, or sleep. So depending on how someone scores, so if somebody scores kind of low well-being, they'll probably be guided towards things like the sleep and the stress program, and the much better the well-being, it'll probably be things like mindfulness and resilience. But the client can kind of choose to explore any of the programs. So if I went to kind of the programs menu, back on kind of the home page, there we go. So I would choose Oldham, go to that quiz, and I can view some of the programs. Let me get to them. Here we go. So if I go to stress, I can learn more about stress, so what the stress program's about. So focusing on kind of as being assertive, problem solving, looking at self-esteem, or I could sign up straight away or review some of the other programs. Then you've got things like mindfulness, which is just a collection of mindfulness exercises. The resilience program, which is all about kind of focusing on kind of positive traits, if you like. And that kind of differs. It kind of uses the positive psychology approach. And then you've got the sleep program as well, which is all about improving sleep and learning new techniques. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sign up to, let's say, the stress program. me show you how that works. Initial agreement, read about kind of confidentiality, read about privacy, know that this isn't an emergency service, and if they need urgent help and support, speak to someone now. And that kind of just gives them crisis information on screen. And then add their email address, create a password, and what that will do then is just pings the client an email asking them to confirm their email address. So I should get that through any second now. There we go. So that's come through. So I'll, as the client or the end user, I'll get that email asking me to sign up. And then I just need to set a username. So I'll just call this Oldham.webinar and then sign up. So the first stage is kind of just trying to get the client to kind of frame what they want from the program. So this kind of, if you like, this onboarding stage, whether it's sleep, resilience, COVID, all of the programs actually have this kind of introduction. So what do I want from the program? So I want to feel calm, and they can select multiple ones. Enjoy my life, or write something themselves, or they have the option not to do that now as well. So this is just to confirm. So this is what they want to kind of achieve from the program. Again, just confirm which part of Greater Manchester they're from, in this case kind of Oldham. And then just start a quick introduction, you know, what will they be doing, kind of the tools, and just reaffirming to putting this into practice. And then they can get a head start onto SilverCloud. So there's always a welcome to SilverCloud module, an introduction one. Always has a video, and there's always a transcript. So like I said, there may be people who access this, whether they're staff or general members of the public, if they have any auditory deficits and they can't make best use of the videos, there'll always be a transcript. SilverCloud also works with screen readers. That'll be my kids in the background. One's, I think, playing with some kind of truck or something, and the other one's crying. Well, there you go. So there's always a video accompanied by transcripts. The welcome to SilverCloud module is always kind of very brief. Then there's an intro in terms of what's coming up, reaffirming kind of the crisis help numbers, how to use the program, so a quick video just on how to navigate around SilverCloud, and then depending on the program the user's on, just a high level view of all the different modules. And I'm just going to run through some of the kind of features of them. There's personal stories and an area called My Expectations. So in personal stories, they're case vignettes of people, whether it's kind of experienced stress or experienced difficulties, that kind of thing, depending on the program you're on, resilient sleep, or having sleep difficulties. And what we find is people tend to kind of identify with a case and follow it through. They can add an anonymous like, they can bookmark topics that they want to come back to, or they can add comments into their own private journal. And kind of looking at some of kind of the other modules, so kind of stress and overview. So again, very similar to the previous modules, an intro with kind of a video and a transcript. And then SilverCloud uses lots of different, again, this has all been tried and tested. SilverCloud has been tested to look at kind of what's the best way to engage with people. So short videos, then there's the use of quizzes. So all of this kind of helps to kind of slow the user down. So there's a bit of kind of sitting, watching, taking in. Then there's interacting. Quizzes are kind of a popular feature or a popular tool in SilverCloud. Really helps the user kind of check out kind of some of their kind of preconceptions, whether they're true or false. So you'll always find quizzes. Then what we call psychoed, so reading material, just education on the topic area, whether that's sleep, resilience, or stress. Then you have specific tools, so you can see a little kind of spanner for a tool there. So in this case, kind of what are my stress symptoms, starting to recognize them. Different tools can be added, so I can add this to my homepage if it's a tool that I want to get to very quickly. Uh, More psycho-ed in this case. So again, kind of changing the pace and the flow for the user. So it's not all reading, it's not all videos, it's getting the user to kind of stop. You can see another quiz, more reading, more tools, and personal stories. And then the final stage I always like is about reviewing. So kind of what stayed with me through this part of the program, and I can share that here and pop that in and add any kind of goals that I want to do this week. And I can review this throughout my use of SilverCloud, and then just have a little kind of summary section of, did I find the module relevant, interesting, was it helpful, is it supporting me towards my goal, and any other feedback that I want to put in there. So all of the modules, depending on the program, all come in this similar format. So if I talk you through all of them, you'll actually see, again, in taking action, similar kind of intro, quiz, and different tools and tasks to do. So this is just the stress program. So you can see kind of added kind of goals and my stress response there. There is always help and support available here. So whether it's help and support in using SilverCloud or kind of urgent help and support about what to do in a crisis. So there's always kind of crisis numbers available as well, because obviously it's a non-emergency service, SilverCloud, and it is available 24/7. Now from the programs menu, I can actually see what bookmarks I've had. So I bookmark personal stories, but I got this Discover More tab. So there's some additional content that I can have. So as I've signed up to the stress program, there's a mini module all about kind of COVID. And this is about how to kind of deal with kind of living in these difficult times. So it's a very popular one right now. So how do we deal with these challenging times? How do we deal with these situations? There's this locus of control issue here. So what are the things that I can control in terms of keeping myself safe? And also what things can I do to help ease the lockdown? So things like relaxation, focus on what you can control, staying connected with people, kind of promoting the idea of self-care and kind of sleep. But there's also this section here for kind of COVID-19 and healthcare workers. So that we introduced this because obviously we've got members of the public, but also people who are working, kind of key workers who are doing it. So the stress that they experience will be a different kind of stress to the general public. So it may be kind of shifts the work schedule, the impact on kind of your personal life as well. So there's various sections for different people for them to go through. So there's lots of additional modules as well for the user to go through. The COVID one is just one additional module. There's one on self-esteem, one on sleep difficulties, relaxation, employment support, behavioral experiments, and kind of anger management. So the user can, regardless of the program they're on, they will be able to access these modules. Now, if you noticed, I signed up for the stress program, but what you can also do is, as you've got one login, you can also kind of have a look at the other programs. So I mentioned the mindfulness program. So in the mindfulness program, I can expand the sections, and I can see there's just an intro to mindfulness here. So what is mindfulness? So just kind of educating the user on that, kind of doing mindfulness exercises. So there'll be various mindfulness exercises. So one account, signing up to one account pretty much gives you access to all the other programs. You don't need to go back and sign up for different modules every time. You can access them all through one account. So again, I could access something like, say, like the sleep program. So the sleep program, all of the programs come with their own unique tools. So if I give you a quick tour of the sleep program, so again, you've got kind of a getting started module that comes with that kind of introduction with a video, followed by things like a quiz. There's a rationale to why we chose things like sleep, stress, and resilience, and obviously the COVID-19 programs, because this is available to kind of families, the general public, and staff. What we didn't want to do at this time is, if you like, kind of pathologize people's difficulties. They may be depressed in terms of having a low mood as a reactive response to what's going on. They may well also have lots of worrying thoughts and anxious thoughts. But what we didn't want to do in terms of kind of having depression and anxiety programs we have available is make people kind of almost kind of feel that they are really depressed, feel that they've developed an anxiety disorder. So these kind of programs were kind of key in not trying to kind of make it out that users had a kind of depression or anxiety or a mental health condition, but actually some resources which will help them manage through the difficult times that we're going through. So in the sleep program, well, one of the key tools is the sleep chart. This is all about developing kind of understanding of their sleep efficiency and the quality of sleep. So on a regular basis, how did I sleep? What time did I go to bed? How much later did you fall asleep? If I woke up, how many times did I wake up? Woke up twice. For how long? 10 minutes. And it gets, so all of the different tools help the client kind of understand their difficulties and capture and collect information, all with the end goal of kind of improving on this. That one is true, by the way. That does affect my sleep. So then it starts to build up kind of a sleep chart on the other side. So you can see one entry, 94% sleep efficacy. And there's also kind of an explanation there as well. And I can add this to my homepage and just kind of work on that tool. So if I went back to my homepage now, I should see the sleep diary. So I can use various programs and put different tools from different programs onto my homepage. Hence why all the programs called Space From, so whether it's Space from depression, stress, resilience, and so on and so forth. So it's the user space which they can then customize. So that's the sleep program, which kind of heavily focuses on obviously primarily sleep. Let's have a look at some of the other programs. We looked at sleep, we looked at mindfulness and stress. Let's look at resilience. So resilience is kind of very different to a lot of the other programs on the SilverCloud platform. The depression and anxiety ones are very CBT based. They come from a very different kind of approach and model, and that being kind of around kind of deficits or the things that a person isn't able to do or struggling with, i.e. struggling with difficult thoughts or negative behaviors. The resilience program is based on pure positive psychology, so it's really about looking at how a person can deal with the knockbacks in life and how they can use some of the traits that they have, positive traits, and actually build on them. So it comes at what we call a much more compassionate approach in that respect. So again, very similar. You've got the introduction kind of with a video, information on what resilience is, but the key thing here in the resilience program is the resilience star. So this is kind of the opportunity for a client to kind of look at the different areas of their life that they may be getting stuck in. So is it the sense of purpose, self, connections, body, and mind? And when they go through this exercise, they can then review this at a later stage. So if I edit this, so create resilient stars, show how each statement is true, so I have a clear purpose in my life. So this is just to help kind of guide the user in these different life areas to see what areas that they want to work on. In terms of myself, have a positive view of myself and abilities, my awareness and strength. I'm kind to myself when I make mistakes. Then move through connections, so I have strong relationships with my family. I belong to groups that reflect my values. So this is very different to, like I say, the approach the CBT programs use. So about the body, eating healthy, sleeping well, keeping active. And the mind, do I have a kind of, what's my outlook? Do I have a positive, optimistic outlook? Am I grateful for the aspects, good aspects of my life? I take actions, do I not? So this can then be reviewed later. And again, if I like that tool, I can add that to my homepage as well. So if I go back to my homepage, which is sleep diary, kind of is there, the resilience star, and kind of the goals as well. I can take them off as well if I want to. So some of the other tools which you find in the SilverCloud program is a personal journal. So I put something in here previously. I can add more here, so I can add, and this is kind of my own personal journey that I can kind of keep and chart kind of my thoughts that I want to. And the fact that this is kind of mobile compatible, all of these tools that I've shown you, things like the sleep chart, the journal, and some of the tools that I'm about to show you as well, are all kind of fully optimized for kind of mobile view. So then there's things like any questionnaires within the program, or what my backup and support network is. So this is kind of an interesting tool. Who do I go to if I have a difficulty? So I might go to my partner, let's say. And how close is that partner to me in kind of my circle of trusted people? And I can go on and add people and kind of build up my own support network. So actually, if I have difficulties, I know who I can turn to. There's things like the stress response. So some of the tools will just unlock as the user goes through the different stages of the different programs. See the resilience, star sleep diary, they're all in there. I can set some goals for myself as well. And those are kind of just some filters for some of the tools. So essential tools, some of the quizzes, and some of the audio as well. I can set reminders, so I might want to prompt myself when I want to do SilverCloud. So I want to do SilverCloud, let's say on a Tuesday or a Friday. What time do I want to log in? Usually for me to do anything meaningful would be log in when the kids go to sleep. I think they went to bed by 9 o'clock last night. Lockdown's taking its toll on them too. So I can receive reminders by email, but actually if I have the app, I can receive in-app notifications and it will just pop up on my app that it's time for me to do SilverCloud. So just go back to kind of the program. So again, different tools, different content. I've got my bookmarks. I can discover more here, add, look at view the additional modules as well. And these will be kind of very relevant for people. So the challenging times is a brilliant one right now. It's proving to be obviously very, very popular because it's relevant. People will have sleep difficulties, will need help relaxing, but also kind of the employment support one as well, or unemployment support, whether it's coping stress at work, the work-life balance. Yes, the majority of the country are kind of working from home, but I'm sure you guys can attest to you're probably working harder more than ever, and you're working from home as well as kind of family and commitments going on in the background as well. Things like returning to work or finding employment as well. So these may be very relevant and pertinent right now. The behavioral experiments module it's all about kind of how to test some thoughts and test ideas and going out and collecting evidence for them. And anger management as well, kind of how do you deal with anger, what are the early warning signs, and how can I manage my anger, and also kind of grief and loss. So again, this is very relevant right now as well for people who are losing people in the current climate. It's a very different kind of loss process, or bereavement process, should I say, due to kind of lockdown restrictions and social distancing. So it may be some of the key programs are relevant for them, or just sections of them, or it may be that actually some of the additional additional modules are as well. The platform has always been built with a user focus, so we always get clients kind of giving us feedback of their user experience. That kind of helps us guide the whole kind of levels of interactions, how we deliver content, kind of the clicking and different types of content that's also available as well. So I'm just going to look to see if there are any questions. So Natalie, I think SilverCloud is a fabulous resource. Thank you. And I found it really helpful. I wasn't sure if there was an issue on my smartphone settings, but when my phone lock was automatically activated while listening to mindfulness audio files or while typing entries into journal, it meant I had to go back to the app and start again from the beginning. Do you know if there is any issues or updates due for this that might help? So I don't know. What I will do is, obviously you've registered, so I've got your contact details, your email, Natalie, and I've got your question here as well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to raise that with our kind of product and technical team just to see what that could be and see if we can kind of test and replicate that. Phone lock was on. Yeah. So it may have, yes, I think, without kind of being certain, if you're, as the programs are username and password protected, it may have kind of logged you out or ended your session, just because there's obviously private information that you might have in your journal, so you wouldn't leave that kind of automatically open kind of in your browser and then walk away. Obviously general PCs might have kind of screensavers and stuff, but kind of phone locks may kick in. So I'll raise that with our team and raise that with our kind of app developers. So thank you for sharing that. If you work in Oldham, NHS, but do not live in Oldham, would you select Oldham as where you live? So long, Ella, so long as you live in Greater Manchester and that's absolutely fine. So it doesn't matter actually, whilst if you work for Oldham but you don't live in Oldham, you can use it. So from that drop down, whatever region in Greater Manchester you live in, just select whichever one is right for you. Regine, brilliant, signed up successfully following the online demo. Great stuff. Dan, I've installed SilverCloud program and it's great. Apologies, but I've just been asked to attend a safeguarding meeting. No worries, Dan, you're probably gone by now, but thanks for coming along. Bridget, thanks for the demonstration. Absolutely, more than welcome. So today was really just to, do you know how, another one just come in now from Sharon, do you know how many members does SilverCloud have so far? If it's total members, it's in the excess of 400,000 people who have gone through SilverCloud now, kind of right across the world. Right now, like I said, we're offering it through, or SilverCloud is available through the UK. It's available through regions like Greater Manchester. It's available right throughout Scotland, just about to roll out right across through Wales, and a large coverage in the US, the United States, and in Canada as well. And there is use of SilverCloud in Germany too. At the moment, and we have done some kind of interesting work where actually in South America we were approached by, I think it was a university there, so we did a project there. We translated one program into kind of South American kind of Spanish there, and we kind of culturally adapted SilverCloud as well. So SilverCloud has been used in lots of regions kind of right around the world. Kind of no other questions. So I think I've kind of taken most people through kind of the core parts of SilverCloud. So what I would say is, for yourselves, family, friends, absolutely. What you can do is just go to the site, gmsilvercloud.health/sign up. And sign up yourself, share this link with kind of your colleagues in your organizations. Like I said, it's available to kind of your family members as well. Just need to kind of confirm what area they live in, and away they go. Like I said, the purpose of this was to allow people to get quick access to resources when they needed them the most. If you ended up, let's say, in an IAP service, or were referred to an IAP service, you would have available much more programs. So things like kind of stress, mindfulness, resilience, and COVID are just the ones, and sleep are just the ones available here on the Greater Manchester site. But if you know anybody who needed kind of the suite of the other programs that we had, so kind of going back to the list of all the other programs, all of these are available through the local IAP service as well, through Pennine Healthcare's Healthy Minds in Oldham and through TogMind as well. You could access the full breadth of supported programs. So anyone who needs additional support can access those services. And Gary's just said that people can contact Gary as well. And there's just pop that out. You can all see these questions in the chat anyway, but Gary's address there is gary.flanagan@nhs.net. I'll just unmute you a second, Gary, just so you can kind of come in if you've got any kind of comments or questions yourself.
Hi, Mohammed. Thanks very much for that. It's really helpful. I think, not really, I just think that it's a really helpful demonstration, and just want to pick up on your point about kind of just signing up and exploring it for yourself, I suppose. Just checking out the modules and just maybe that way you'll kind of hone in on what might be some support that you'd welcome, I think. So it's not necessarily that you need to know exactly what you're looking for when you sign up, really, because everything is a bit much at the moment. Everything's a bit confusing. So yeah, that's just my take from that. And yeah, just as Mohammed said, if you have any questions about wider mental health options that are available, mental health and wellbeing options in Oldham, then please just get in touch.
Just a couple of other questions as well that have just come through. So let's have a look. Ella, so I'm an MSK therapist in Oldham. Can I refer patients for unsupported access? Absolutely. So just signpost them to the gm.silvercloudhealth/sign up. They can access unsupported, the sleep, resilience, stress, and the COVID program, all unsupported. If you feel your client needs additional support, then obviously refer them to the IAP service. They have access to even more SilverCloud programs. So if there's kind of underlying depression or anxiety, which might need to be treated, then you can. But if you're happy and you're comfortable, then absolutely, for anyone on the line, for whatever care setting you work in, this is available not just for staff. This is for every member of kind of Oldham or in the Greater Manchester region population, members of the public, to access. So whatever service you work in, you can signpost your users there. Michelle, hello again, Michelle. How are you? Thanks for your demo, really good, thank you. Any plans for translating in other languages? So this has come up. So I did mention kind of the Spanish study. So we did that in Spain. We do have a German version for kind of the German healthcare sector, but in the UK, it is only available in English. Obviously, we've got 30 odd programs. So the first question is, well, actually, which is the program that will probably get used most and what language would that be? And then when it comes to languages, there's not just translation, because quite often some services and clinicians will say, well, look, can I just get my client to do Google Translate? And I will say, absolutely not, because we have no control over what a kind of auto translation might do. The reason why then we haven't actually done translations ourselves is because there does require a hell of a lot of work, not just translating it, but to make it culturally sensitive and culturally appropriate. When you look at how CBT in particular as a psychotherapy, and myself being a mental health nurse and family therapist coming from a clinical background, when you look at how CBT has been utilized outside of kind of the Western world, if you like, where it's been very successful in kind of through Africa and through the Indian subcontinent, there's a lot of localization and a lot of making it regionally and culturally appropriate. Then within that, you've got kind of variations within culture. Spanish is a classic one, even within kind of Spain, you've got kind of the Catalan Spanish as well. So actually trying to understand which is the best one to do. And then particularly for services that deliver a supported SilverCloud option, then you would need somebody who is proficient in that language and can read that language as well, and be able to kind of support that client based on kind of any feedback the user's putting in. So there's a whole host of these things. I mean, my experience in digital therapy goes back way too many years. It goes back to the primary care trust days. So we did for another vendor that I work for, we did a project translating a digital intervention into Turkish. We did it. It's The other thing is cost. It costs a lot of money as well to do, and we found kind of the uptake was really poor because the population who it was aimed at weren't necessarily literate in their own kind of first language as well. And I think that's an assumption we even make with kind of English that really comes to the forefront, certainly when we work with kind of CCG areas where there's a lot of deprivation, and literacy, in English is a challenge in itself. So that's probably why, Michelle, we don't have kind of off-the-shelf translations at the moment. Let's have a look. How do you refer patients to the IAP service? Yeah, absolutely. So Ella, if you need to refer people to the IAP service, please do refer them directly to Oldham Healthy Minds. If you've got the contact number, give it to them, or you can signpost them to the website and they can make a referral from there. Some other questions here. What's the success rate of using the platform? So in terms of success rate, again, if you look at kind of one of the slides was around kind of the NICE endorsement and NICE evaluations. So from an evidence-based perspective, we know it's kind of successful. When we look at real life usage outside of kind of control settings, genuinely services will tell us. I've got kind of a service up in Durham. When they compare that to their first line treatments there, groups in SilverCloud, SilverCloud consistently comes out on top in terms of outcomes and recovery. Other IAP services in particular would mention their older adults engage really, really well, so they get great kind of user engagement and recovery rates, in fact higher recovery rates than other demographics within their actual service as well. So by and large, the success rate is very consistent, and a lot of that I think is to do with kind of confidence in using the system as well. The more we find, we can see a clear disparity of services that have been using SilverCloud for a year plus versus those who are just starting out, because for many digital is quite new. If you think about something like COVID right now, that has really kind of pushed us forward probably 10 years. I mean, we're all on Zoom and kind of Teams and all sorts right now, but actually pre-COVID, how many of us were actually using that? Certainly within the NHS, nobody was probably using Teams, certainly not Zoom either. It was Skype for Business, and that was quite clunky link. But now it is kind of the bread and butter. You cannot work throughout the day right now without digital technology. So I think what's happened now, particularly with digital health, is the acceptability is very much at an all-time high, because actually right now there is no kind of competition for kind of interventions. You have to do pretty much something digitally, whether it's online SilverCloud digital intervention, whether it's telephone based, or whether it's kind of webinar type of therapy and interventions now. So there's a far more greater acceptability now. Just looking to see if there's any further questions. No kind of further follow-up questions, but if there is, you can certainly contact me. You can catch me at this address, UK Customer Success at silvercloudhealth.com. Happy to kind of, I think we've got about 8 odd minutes to spare before kind of close. Any other questions, feel free to kind of drop them in the panel. I'll kind of still hang around digitally for everyone. Gary, just going to get you back off mute if you've got any kind of final comments as well before we close. You're on now, Gary?
Yep. Hi. No, I don't think so. I think I'd just, as I said earlier, just encourage people to try it out. Just wanted to come back to the question just around referral into IAPT. I mean, SilverCloud is also a kind of option, a mental health support option as part of our wider, more kind of, our clinical offer around psychological therapies. It's used in conjunction with therapy you can get from therapy options through Mind and Healthy Minds. So as well as a standalone support offer, which is a lot of what Mohammed's been talking through today in terms of the modules, there are the modules that are part of that clinical support offer as well. So yeah, there's the difference. So referrals into IAPS, just healthy minds, healthy young minds, you would continue to make as normal, and then as part of your treatment, then SilverCloud would be an option embedded through that pathway as well.
So I've got that up on screen now. So Oldham Healthy Minds, and this is just a Pennine one. It's obviously available through Togmind as well. But if you signpost your users there, they have the option to either refer into Healthy Minds directly, have someone contact them and have an assessment, or actually they could access SilverCloud directly. And then they can actually sign up straight away to, I think, the depression, anxiety, or stress program. So the self-supported or the unsupported is just these programs that you see here in terms of COVID-19, stress, mindfulness, resilience, and sleep. But being referred directly through a Healthy Minds will give them potentially access to all the other programs around panic, kind of phobia, depression, the long-term conditions programs as well. So if somebody's got a long-term condition of depression, diabetes, COPD, chronic pain, and so on, they can access all of those other programs through the usual IAP pathway as well. Okay, so I'm happy to close if you guys are. Thank you for attending. What I'll do, Gary, is as the session is recorded, I'm happy to kind of forward you kind of a link and that kind of be kind of put up somewhere if there was anyone who wanted to catch the demo but wasn't able to register.
That's great. Thank you, Mohammed. And yeah, thank you for the demonstration. It's really helpful.
No worries. Thanks, Gary, and thanks everyone for your time and attention today, and have a wonderful rest of the day.